Welcome everyone, Battlefield of Eternity, our first map in Group B. So the Underdog Cup number 3, continues, and we're now in the second group. So we got the Munchies going up against the Wombat Factor. To my knowledge, we have the Munchies as a Division 2 team and the Wombat Factor as a Division 5 team. So the blue team is coming into this as a heavy favorite. If you're a bit unfamiliar with the tournament here, the Underdog Cup is essentially a tournament series that I set up because I wanted to give a little bit more of a spotlight onto the grassroots and onto the amateur scene. So I'm hosting this event right now in cooperation with Heroes Lounge. And essentially, what we're trying to do is we're setting up a tournament that is dedicated to the teams that are not at the top. So from all the divisions that we have within Heroes Lounge, Division 2 to 5 can participate, which obviously excludes the top division. You might still see a couple of players that you actually recognize. In Group A, for example, we talked about Itrax, who is also playing for the Enjoyers in top tournaments. But generally, this is more of a relaxed amateur scene environment. A lot of the teams here will have players that range from sometimes gold, silver, up to plat diamond, and obviously we have some top players in the Division 2 teams as well. But just generally speaking, the idea is to give some of those teams a chance to play in a competitive environment without having to jump into these high prize money tournaments. There's still prize money here that I actually myself put up for those teams, but we're talking more pizza money so that they have a bit of an incentive to play and have a little bit of fun with it. But yeah, this is all dedicated to the amateur scene, trying to make it so that those teams have an opportunity to get their name out there. And also for the audience, it's actually kind of fun because you can relate oftentimes a little bit more to what the guys are doing here. Now, we're going to throw those amateur tournaments in every now and then, but believe me, the next bigger ones are already planned. So no worries on that front. When it comes to the tournament, you can only play hero once, as I already said before, but that also means that, of course, you can now target a little bit more specifically, maybe one tricks on the other team and trying to eliminate some heroes that they usually always try to get in every single game. And in that environment, when we're talking about amateur teams, you can actually tactically use that way more as a weapon than you could on the highest level. So, heading into Battlefield of Eternity, we have Hanzo for immortal damage. We get, on the other side, Liming with Garrosh. Interestingly enough, they banned VALEERA. We've been talking a lot about preference picks from the teams, right? But if I see a VALEERA ban, I mean, they know something that I don't. They definitely know the Munchies a little bit better, and they must have some VALEERA one-trick or somebody that loves to play VALEERA. There is no meta reason why you would ban VALEERA out. That just doesn't exist. So we have the blue team, sorry, the red team with Johanna and with Blaze. Hanzo for the immortal damage. And, well, let's see what's happening over on the right, on the left side. What the blue team is now going to try and do. The Munchies with the nano boost for Liming and Wicked Imperious as the side laner. So you have a Garrosh flip into an Imperious stun, and Liming is going to try and blow some targets up quickly. But yeah, with nano boost, she is going to have quite the damage output for sure. But alright, let's see what we're getting. We have on the right side now with a strong front line. Again, Blaze Johanna is one of the most commonly picked duos, always powerful. We get Lucio, and we got the free rider with Junkrat, which means that we have now a triple Overwatch for them. Alright, especially in the damage department. Now, Hanzo's going to be the main source of damage against the Immortal, but they also have a pretty decent CC chain that they can try and execute to. Whereas over on the left side, the final pick, we need a little bit more damage. Either melee, they could go for Liming as the only range damage dealer, but I would still expect that they have some extra poke. This is the best of 3 series. We get Cassia, and with that, we're set for the first map in this best of 3, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the winner bracket of Group B. Let's go! Battlefield of Eternity. Munchies against the Wombat Factor on Battlefield. Over on the left side, we have the blue team with Mikaku on Ana. Stab, stab, kill with Liming. Still a great name. Brahms is playing Garrosh for the blue team. We got Griffiths on Imperious. And Mia is playing Cassia in our first game of the best of 3 series. Over on the right side of the map, it is the Division 5 team. Zarikroon with Johanna. We get Brightwing on Blaze. I mean, that's an F if I've ever seen one. Nope. So, yeah, like that name, I'm sorry, but at this point, I'm halfway rooting against you already. Freerider on Junkrat. We got Skylor on Lucio and Buster on Rhymes, Hanzo. As down at the bottom of the map, we got our 4-mans clashing with level 1 choices. We now also get the Zealous Glare here from Johanna. They should have renamed that into Smexy Glare at some point. The Zealous Glare, I absolutely get it, but honestly, there's a lost opportunity. They should have come in with a patch at some point, maybe after the MSB victory of Fnatic, and just renamed it into the Smexy Glare. That would have been way more fitting than anything else, but yeah, lost opportunity right there. And by now we get a Thunderstroke as our level 1 talent for Cassia. Well, with that said and done, we are now looking at a team, like the blue team again. They are the favorites here. We had a couple of upsets in Group A already, but right now, just from where these teams are positioned within the rankings, the red team should be the underdog in that series. And I mean, good for them participating here. But we have a quick kill as Liming comes in and gets not only the kill, but the reset. So she's going to try and continue that trend throughout the entire game here. A little bit of poke happening as we have the Munchies aiming for the camp. And Garrosh is quickly throwing Jojo back out. So they're slightly hesitant. Ends up with the blue team grabbing their camp. And, of course, the added push through the bot lane. We have on level 1 also the Endurance Stim Pack for Blaze. Quick reminder that it's obviously on this level not only about preference picks in regards to heroes, but also when it comes to the builds that you're going to see. So if you're currently looking for the best build to play on a hero, I wouldn't necessarily go in and copy whatever you see here. For that, you should probably take a closer look at the top level and then see if those builds match. But there will be some adjustments for sure. Now, a quick reminder also to everybody, if you are not really familiar with Heroes Lounge, there will be a link in the description of the video. But Heroes Lounge is the biggest amateur scene in the game, by far. So if you want to play, it's European-based, but even if you are from North America, you can play in Heroes Lounge. The time difference might make that a little bit tricky at times. But if you want to experience the game the way that it's supposed to be played, this is really where you should be headed. Go to heroeslounge.gg. You can sign up for free, costs nothing. You can sign up as an individual, you can sign up as a player, and you will essentially play with like-minded people that have a bit of a competitive bone, that really want to, you know, theory craft, talk a bit about strategies, maybe train together a little bit and try to execute some combos. And it's just way different than just relying on the matchmaking in the game itself. So Heroes Lounge has been around for like ages, ever since the game was created basically, and it's always been a huge staple within the community. So if you want to check them out, you definitely should. Links will be in the description as well of the video if you watch this on YouTube. And of course, as usual, if you watch this on YouTube, hit that like button. Hit that like button and also sub to the channel if you haven't done it yet. Also helps to promote those videos to other Heroes of the Storm fans, former ones that might be interested in rejoining the game a little bit. So we might have a chance to grow that player base just a bit more. Talking about talents that you would normally not see, Blaze on level 4 with the Meltdown. So already adjusting a bit on that. When we're talking Ana, no grenade build in this game, but we're going for her straight from the Slumber Shells into Overdose. And it is a close call on the objective, but eventually the blue team claims it, so the Munchies have Immortal number 1. Not really a lot of fighting happening over the first Immortal, at least, but now with that early level 7 talent, I suppose, the blue team should have a nice shot at taking potentially even the fort out down at the bottom of the map. It's not a big shield though, so the defense should be able to stop this before the fort falls. They're already taking that shield down and forcing the Immortal into melee mode. Calamity, by the way, not taken. Still starting things off with Ether Walk, but we have for Liming on level 7, Seeker. And they are starting to push for the fort. The wall already destroyed. And the fort is actually eating quite a bit of damage, but the defense will eventually be able to deal with this. That level 7 talent, though, is a slight concern, so this is what slows them down a bit at least. Cassia is sitting now at 18 stacks, 4.5 minutes in. So nothing too crazy yet, but, well, Wombat Factor also getting... I actually don't understand where that name comes from, by the way. I should have probably asked them. But I'm looking at this right now, and I'm like, what's the story behind this? Hanzo in a bit of trouble. Buster is jumping out, or at least tries to, and gets killed a second later by Garrosh. Seems like the rest of the red team might also be in trouble here. Lucio is barely making it out, as Garrosh was hoping to get another flip. Gets a hold of Johanna, and that might just be the end of her. Nice little connect there too, and Jojo just barely in time, is able to get another Iron Skin in and moves away. So yeah, nicely done. They are saving at least Joanna, but it's 2 kills to 0 now. A half-level lead, a bit more than that even, for the Munchies. And just on the raw damage numbers, we now have 11,000 for Li Ming, so she's doing pretty well here. Up at the top lane, Imperius is currently also holding his own against Blaze and is pushing that lane down. But the pressure at the bottom of the map just keeps on growing. We have the Munchies getting farther and farther ahead in experience, now leading by an entire level, which is very likely going to help them significantly during the next objective phase, because they should be able to grab level 10 abilities. Only way that I could see this go wrong for them is if they lose some heroes before that happens. But right now, things still look fine. Up at the top, Blaze gets caught, and that's a kill. He kind of walked into this, by the way. If he dodges out towards the top here, then I think he's totally fine. But he was trying to dodge down to the bottom and moved straight into the Li Ming combo. And that eliminated Blaze, so even more experience in the hands of the blue team. And now the chance to easily go for the Immortal. I'm, if anything, a little bit surprised that the blue team is not trying to be more aggressive on the right side to stop the Wombat factor of damaging the Immortal at all. They didn't have level 10 yet, but they could have moved one of the heroes to the top lane again and deal with it. Disintegrate, by the way, over... I mean, Disintegrate is kind of fine. It's one of the reasons, I suppose... Oh my god, Junkrat. Disintegrate is usually not being chosen. It's just a thing. Normally, when you're looking at top-level play, Disintegrate is a non-existent talent. The only scenario in which you pick Disintegrate is when your opponent plays a Nubarak and you're trying to burn the Cocoon down. Outside of that, it's always Wave of Force. It is a lot harder to play than Disintegrate, so when we're talking about the more amateur scene, then Disintegrate becomes a bigger and bigger talent simply because it is easier to use and therefore also easier to get some value out of it. But generally speaking, if you are mastering Li Ming and you are getting to a point where you really want to play on a higher level, Wave of Force is something that you have to learn how to play with. But they're getting kills. They're taking down Junkrat, level 10 on both sides now, but the Wombat Factor has so far not gotten a single kill yet. And already, the attack coming in at the top side forward as Imperius is pushing the bottom of the map. We got Brahms moving in, looking for another kill. They're trying to come in here. Short distance arrow from Hanzo with a stun, but they could not take Garrosh down, and now Jojo is eliminated. Johanna is gone. And after the fort got destroyed, they're now even working the wall on the keep itself. The level lead has been extended to 1.5 levels. And off we go. 30 stacks for Cassia. Again, normally want a little bit more at the 8-minute mark, but this is still pretty fine. And the damage department, she's not doing too badly either. We see her currently at 14,000 damage. Imperius has a bit more because he's locked into this 1 versus 1 against Blaze the entire time. So he's currently sitting at 15,000. And on the side of the red team, we have 10,000 for Junkrat. But the Munchies, they are running the show right now. They are the ones to make the plays. They're the ones to always aim for the next talent advantage. And right now, things are looking pretty okay for them. The timing on the camp could always be a little bit better, but I think what the Wombat Factor is really worried about is that level 13 connects for the Munchies, and they're invading the camp and force it with the level 13 talent lead over the red team, so they're taking it a bit earlier than they usually would. Normally what you're trying to do is you're trying to time it around the Immortal itself, so that you have to either fight for the objective as the opposing team, or then go in and defend the camp on the top lane. Now, with level 13... with level 13, we're now getting Glass Cannon. This is one of those things where it can oftentimes go a little bit wrong for Li Ming when you go into Disintegrate, because essentially what you do when you're using Disintegrate is you're stunning yourself. You're making yourself a target. And in this scenario, for example, what could happen if played well is Li Ming tries with Glass Cannon to use Disintegrate, tries to get the duration through, Hanzo sees it, shoots an arrow, that arrow connects, essentially chunks her down immediately, stuns her, and then all that's needed is a bit of a follow-up and she's dead. So those are some things that can happen here, but again, this is obviously always with a little caveat that on this level of play, the margin of error is just a little bit bigger. That's one of the biggest misconceptions, by the way, when we're talking about top-level play. There's always a couple of people that are looking at a game between two top teams, and they're like, oh, well, this is just looking like my silver games or whatever. And what a lot of people just don't realize is how small the margin of error gets when you're playing at the top level. While you can get away with a lot of smaller mistakes and errors on the lower levels, those get immediately punished on the top level, and just that time frame in which you can make up for a bad play, position or whatnot is so heavily reduced. That's the biggest difference here. And on this level that we are currently watching here in the amateur scene, you have some more options, so you can try and execute this a bit more. Big immortal opportunity again for the Munchies. They've done a lot of work here. Jojo's also super low and has been for essentially the entirety of the fight. So she is very much not useful for them right now. There comes the laser. Li Ming with some nice damage, but Lucio is still able to get away. It doesn't change the fact, though, that the blue team was able to get a big immortal with a huge shield, and that's now going to traveling through the bot lane so that they can go for the keep here. Still without a single kill. The Wombat Factor gonna try and defend here, but Junkrat gets blown to pieces. So Junkrat is already gone. The wall destroyed. The Immortal isn't even here yet, and the keep is already taking damage. That's bad news. Even though it's even talents, this is not gonna be easy. Hanzo dying. I mean, this both of your damage dealers gone. That's an absolute disaster. Here comes the kill against Johanna. She's dead too. And this is looking more and more like we're gonna see the first point on the board for the blue team. Great job by them here. We're now 12 minutes into the game, and they're going for the core as is. So that's the lead. The Munchies are claiming victory on the first map in the best of 3 series here in the winner bracket of Group B. Nicely done. Absolutely obliterating the opponent's team. But at least one kill against Li Ming from the Wombat Factor. GG. We're going to head straight into game number 2, but before we do, once again guys, if you enjoy the coverage on the channel here, if you enjoy the match, please like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. It also helps to boost the game to an even wider audience. And of course, it helps to get people back into Heroes of the Storm, as the algorithm recommends the videos to people that were interested in Heroes of the Storm in the past. So again, before I continue, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to the channel and like the video. Appreciate it. And with that, we're heading straight into the second map of the series. Dragonshire, after the victory on Battlefield of Eternity, it is the Wombat Factor that decided this second map, and we are going to Dragonshire now. So the blue team is in the lead and have an opportunity to win the series with a 2-0 to close that out. Quick reminder, heroes that have been played cannot be played again, so the 10 heroes that were played on the first map are now out of the hero pool. In a best of 3 series, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, but it still impacts it at least a little bit, especially, as I said before, in the amateur scene. The reason is fairly simple. If you're looking at the top players that have been playing this game for now 10 years, that played maybe even an HGC, they obviously have all the heroes unlocked. They played essentially everything at some point in their public games, and they have a deep hero pool. So you can't really ban them out. You can maybe get rid of some of their best heroes, but you won't be able to completely ban a rollout. Here it's a little bit different, because on the amateur level, of course, a lot of people focus on just certain picks and are trying to get really good with those heroes. And, I mean, the term one trick exists for a reason. And if you know that, if you really prepare as a team, you can really try and target some of those picks. And with the tournament format and the draft restrictions that we implemented, you have not only the option to ban a hero out, but you can also pick it away from the opponent, and that eliminates that hero for the rest of the series automatically. So you have a lot more strategic options to try and, yeah, screw with your opponent a little bit on that end. And after the last tournament, teams have said that this was actually quite interesting for them to experience. So this is something that might come in play, maybe not in this series, maybe not in the next, but eventually. And there is our VALEERA pick. This is something that I highlighted in draft number 1, that with the Wombat Factor banning VALEERA, they definitely knew something that I didn't. And now that we have stab, stab, kill picking VALEERA, I mean, it seems like even the name of the player is dedicated to VALEERA as a choice. Has a skin for her too, so normally VALEERA is not an option. VALEERA is... I honestly, we had a bounty for VALEERA in the Bounty Cup, and I can't remember on the top of my head how many times the VALEERA bounty was actually attempted. I think twice in the entire tournament. VALEERA is pretty bad. In competitive play, VALEERA is just not a thing. She is too vulnerable. She has too many weaknesses that can be easily exploited. And here, of course, it's a little bit different. So this is exactly this like one-trick pony scenario where, well, not necessarily one-trick pony, but the scenario where you have preferences as a player and where the opponent knows about it and tries to ban your heroes out. That's what the Wombat Factor decided to do in game number 1 when they banned her in Battlefield of Eternity, but right now they let her through. So you can be guaranteed that this is not the first time that Step Kill played VALEERA. He's definitely known for his VALEERA performance. He likes the hero, loves to play it. They are now banning Abathar, so there's not some VALEERA plus Abathar symbiote attack happening that sets up ganks. The Asmodan ban on the other side is also an interesting one here. But this should be a fun one. Especially if in front of the background that we now have the blue team established as the favorite for this. Their Division 2 team going up against the Division 5 team. For their opponents, though, for the Wombat Factor, yeah, well, they got Anubarak and Tychus. Could even try and engage with Anubarak as he gets the light bomb. But what's gonna be the side laner for the team? Has to deal with Urel. The Haga has been banned. You could still go Rexa, obviously. Leo is up. They go D.Va. We go D.Va, and we have Vala. So Vala plus Tychus. Essentially 2 auto attackers here. And keep an eye on what exact build Vala is going to use here. Could even be an arrow build. Normally, when you're going into an auto attack style, you want to have either 2 supports or at least a triple front line. Neither of those are present here. So unless they're totally okay with Vala dying a couple of times and losing some of that auto attack speed advantage that she gets through the Gambit quest, she might go into a different build. Our final pick is Uther on the blue team side. So ladies and gentlemen, Dragonshire, our second map in the best of 3 series here between the Wombat Factor and the Munchies. Game on. We have on the left in blue Mekaku with Uther for the Munchies. The team is in the lead in the best of 3. We're getting Mia on Chromie with once again the first time as a level 1 choice. Brahms on Muradin. We get Step Kill on VALEERA with Subtlety. And Griffiths is playing Urel. Over on the right side of the map, the Wombat Factor, after the recent loss on Battlefield of Eternity, now with Zarikroon on Anubarak. We get Freerider on Vala, the only one who hasn't made a choice yet. Interestingly enough, Buster with an auto attack style here with Press the Advantage on level 1. Skylar on Anduin, and Brightwing is playing D.Va. And as expected, we get Vala with an arrow build. So, trying to spec a little bit more heavily into this. Oh, but Anubarak gets quickly caught at the front and taken out. Yup, Anubarak gets eliminated. He's gone, and that is first blood in game number 2. Tychus, on the other hand, with Press the Advantage. I'm a bit curious to see what he's going to go for. And oof, we're getting another kill here. Vala in the mid lane has also been annihilated now. VALEERA is probably going to walk down with the rest of the team here. Actually starts to rotate towards the top after tapping the fountain. Potentially applying a bit more pressure to D.Va to make the life of Urel easy at the top lane. But, well, in this case, we now have Vala slowly starting to move down to the bottom of the map. There's a rotation going on between the teams, between the mid and the bot lane. But VALEERA is already underway and starts to make the play for Tychus. So far, a little damage in that encounter. But it seems that if the red team is not paying attention to what VALEERA does here, they might get farmed a little bit. So yeah, time will tell. Already the next camp taken. Quick attack from Anubarak. Needs to be careful. Eats the damage. Eats way too much damage and is gone. There is a fair amount of CC right now for the Munchies, especially when we're talking Muradin and Uther, so you can go Stormbolt into Uther stun, and if Chromie and VALEERA are there, that's a lot of bursty damage that can be unloaded onto you right away. And there's another body block. I think if in this case... Okay, this is a little bit of a weird one. You could have interrupted that. I'm not quite sure what exactly happened there. But Tychus just decided that he doesn't want to interrupt the Dragon Knight. And I am fairly... Let's take a look at this again. I'm fairly certain that if VALEERA would have stayed there just a bit longer, they could have taken Tychus out in the first place. But yeah, Tychus just decided that he doesn't care about the DK. They're like, let's just give it to them. And, well... That's a wall gone. So 3 kills to 0 as the Munchies are starting to take a lead, and the fight at the bottom of the map is still unfolding. But it's still amusing to me how Tychus was just simply more damage. Get more damage. Look at my hero damage. And I was like, how about you interrupt the objective? Nah, not today.
Nope.
So, yeah, the DK did work. Did a lot of work, actually. That fort is basically gone. Has taken so much that whoever moves down to the middle can easily take that apart whenever they want to. Even though we have pressed the advantage on level 1, we get the bigger they are instead of in the rhythm as a level 4 talent for Tychus. We have now also Power, World, Shield and the Moral Compass for Anduin. Yeah, and VALEERA is going to say hello here pretty quickly, but is already dodging back out because the rotation from the bottom of the map was already underway. Level 7 is going to connect pretty quickly for the team in blue, currently making their moves on that as we speak, and as they're going for the camp, so that extra experience is also going to give them the talent. Yeah, Muradin in the middle, still totally fine here as well. VALEERA with level 7 goes into Mutilate. We now have also Skullcracker for Muradin, and we get the Hand of Protection. The red team trying to grab the camp at the bottom of the map, and I honestly think that they should be able to pull that one off unless the red team is really rotating in there immediately, and honestly, it seems like they just might. So, yeah, that could be a disaster for the Wombat Factor. It's a 3 versus 4 though, but they're still trying to invade this. Chromie is on her way. Is she going to get the damage in quickly enough? And the answer is nope, not a thing. So, the red team grabs the camp. Blue team has to fall back, and now with the help of the mercenary camp, they might just be able to take a few of these towers out. There's some pressure up at the top lane too. Right wing, aka D.Va, is still trying to stop all of this from happening, but Yrel is getting a lot of damage in on that fort and is pressuring the lane. At the bottom we see the exact opposite now with the mercenary camp. We have the loop for Chromie, so they can try and use that. And could already do that here, as VALEERA has been consistently looking for angles. And I have to admit that I'm a little bit confused when I look at the build that we're getting from Tychus here. Tychus is a bit all over the place. Seems like he's just rolling the dice every time he unlocks a new talent. We get Melting Point right now on level 7. So with press the advantage on level 1, and then the bigger they are, this build is currently a bit all over the place. Normally you would expect either a more diligent spec into auto attack talents, or on the other hand a standard grenade build, which we definitely are not getting from him here. Level 10 soon for the Munchies, and maybe even a second Dragonite. Uther is contesting it, and that allows for enough time in the middle for D.Va to get DK number 2. Can somebody please kill the fort in the middle? I don't really have OCD, but I think I'm gonna develop some very quickly if nobody takes down the fort in the middle. Alright, the minions are gonna take care of it. Hero minions right there. Anubarak is also wrecked, so he's gone. And that's gonna be a powerful push at the bottom of the map. The Munchies with level 10 abilities, plus also a Dragonite, whereas the Wombat Factor is again finding themselves in a pretty defensive position on the map. Now that blue team is the clear favorite here, so they need to step it up as well. We got, as level 10 abilities now, the Cloak of Shadows, and we also have the Ardent Defender for Yrel. And after they destroyed the fort in the middle, they're now taking down the fort at the bottom of the map. So, good damage. VALEERA jumping in again. We have Chromie currently with the top damage in the game, 22,000. Cocoon being used as the Wombat Factor picks up their own heroics. They're trying to force the fight here. Chromie is back. It's a 5 versus 5 now as D.Va comes in from the side and instantly goes through with the bunny hop, but Tychus is already down. The team is struggling to get a counter kill. We got stab, kill, a little bit low, but still strong enough to come through, take down Vala. They lose D.Va, but VALEERA gets eliminated by the drill. A little bit of poetic justice, honestly. Tychus was already dead at that point in time, but the drill was still going strong. And, yeah, ended up with them taking down VALEERA. So this is already a big step into the right direction. Get the first kill onto the scoreboard. Always a big one. Tychus is top damage for his team, 15,000. As we have Chromie on 23,000. VALEERA and Tychus have essentially the same damage output at this point. Muradin. Trying to check if he can invade the camp here. But not just yet. So a drill for Tychus. With success, I might add. Still, obviously, when you're talking about talents, it's more about Odin than anything else. But in this case, I think Tychus fancies himself with his level 1 talent as more of an auto attacker. But normally when you're going for a drill, this is one of the main reasons why you're actually doing this is because you want to get more value out of your minigun. And for that, you will then see a much, much heavier spec into those talents, especially, of course, around level 4. So it's kind of interesting to see him with that little patchwork talent build that he currently executes here. Griffiths gets attacked in the top lane. We have VALEERA down at the bottom of the map, making a few moves for D.Va, who has a jump out, is able to get away. But there's a level 13 talent advantage now for the blue team with Strangle. And, yep, all the way up at the top, a little bit of damage already done, but with their own camp, they can now push this back. There's another objective up too, so potentially a third Dragonite for the Munchies. Yeah, the drill is up. And VALEERA could now go for the objective again, but she wants to kill, and she gets it. Eliminates Anubarak, and now has a chance to go for Dragonite number 3. Murden was a little bit faster, and wants to be apparently also a big and mighty Dragonite just once in his life, not just run around with a hammer, but with a massive battle axe. I guess he has one, but you know, his is smaller. His is just a little bit smaller. So, right now, I mean, he's a dwarf, so... Right now, the push at the bottom of the map is up at the top side. We're seeing the Munchies with that two-pronged attack, fearlessly invading the Bridge of Death, not caring about that at all. Yeah, well, that Rain of Vengeance did not connect. The Nubarak dives deep, gets a cocoon on Uther. They try to take Chromie down, but Chromie might receive the heal after all. The Light Bomb, though, shuts that down. That's a kill. Make it a double kill. Uther and Chromie both gone. But the Dragonite is still rocking that bot lane and will be able to eliminate the first keep of the game. They're getting closer to level 16 talents as well. So, team looking good here. In comes the next attack. They're starting to jump on Murden, and he's out of there. Murden jumps out. He's fine. 26,000 damage for Chromie. We got the same amount of damage from Tychus by now, so he's really been stepping it up a bit. Especially in the team fight at the top, of course. But with the level 16 talents that we now have, that also gives us, for VALEERA, the Seal Fate, speaking a little bit more heavily into the Sinister Strike here. And of course we get Benediction, which is always a massive talent for Uther, and can really, really help him to do his thing. D.Va is now back up at that top lane. It's kind of funny, by the way, that even on this level, the Bridge of Death, still true to its name. 2 out of those 3 kills against the Munchies have been on the bridge now. Even though they don't have some crazy AoE that they can unleash on this. They take the drill out. But, I mean, still, he's getting there. Vala with 26 stacks on her level 1. Has also, on level 13, decided to go into the siphoning arrows. The red team still waiting for the level 16 talent, and they have a bit more experience to soak before they're going to get there. D.Va is getting XP in the middle of the map and can then probably boost just up top side and get the rest of the XP there. That should get them fairly close to the talent. Mirrodin is already moving in here. And Nubarak with a dive. Mirrodin jumps. And there's the move for Anduin. And he is gone. Anduin is eliminated. The stun missing from Nubarak. Rain of Vengeance. But Vala gets killed. They go in for Tychus. Make it a triple. 3 heroes down as the next objective gets announced. But it seems that the Munchies are looking for victory in this series. They quickly make their way towards the core and are trying to take this one out. We have 2 defenders, Nubarak and D.Va, but the shield is already gone. An explosion pushed them away. Damage done. The core is going to lose a few hit points, but they kill Nubarak, and now they go for D.Va. Might get the kill here as well, and with the Stormbolt connecting from Murden, no problem whatsoever. Anduin is back, but too little, too late. That is a W. 2-0 for the Munchies in the best of 3 series, as the Wombat Factor drops down into the losers bracket. GG.